Your experience of life can be summarized as two simultaneous experiences. One is your internal, and the other is your external. And you can really identify this more accurately as what you are projecting and what you are perceiving. And so, in every moment, you are simultaneously projecting thoughts, ideas, beliefs outward, and you are also perceiving stimuli and making meaning out of that and perceiving that inwardly. So, in both cases, what you're projecting and what you're perceiving have one center point, and that center point is you, who you are being. It is your state of being in the moment. So, what you project and what you perceive are manifestations of, reflections of who you are being. And you can think of what you're projecting as, yes, how you're behaving, how you're reacting, how you're responding, but also the thoughts that come up in your mind, the feelings that manifest in your body. They're coming from somewhere, and they are coming from who you are being. And then you have the experiences, the things, the information around you, and you're filtering that information to pick out and notice and pinpoint and tell a story about the things that validate who you are being. And so that is why who you are being literally manifests your experience of life. And who you are being is basically the summation of your beliefs in that moment, your identity. This is who I am. This is how the world works. This is who I am in relation to the world. This is what I can and can't have. This is what is possible. This is what is not possible. And we have this whole summation of beliefs, and the majority of them are subconscious, meaning we are not conscious of them. But altogether, they culminate to this state of being, which dictates and directs what we project and what we perceive, what we experience. And so how do you change that? How do I change my state of being? Well, you consciously focus on what you can consciously focus on to shift your beliefs, and you work subconsciously to change your subconscious beliefs so that when you are not being conscious and choosing to focus on the things that you're choosing to focus on, kind of overriding the default. When you're not consciously doing that, you're dropping to a default, or settling into a default state of being. So that default state of being is purely subconscious. It's what you don't have to consciously think about at all. It's just who you are based on the experiences you've had, the beliefs you've created from that, and the stories that you continue to tell yourself. So you can change your default setting, but it doesn't change on its own. Because what's happening is when you have a state of being that's like your default setting, you are just projecting from that state and perceiving from that state, and you are perpetuating the loop of that state of being, right? So when we just sit and say, I hope things change, and then nothing changes, that's why. Because you are constantly reaffirming who you are being. So it takes two options, and I always combine them, and that is consciously, intentionally bringing awareness to who you're being so that you can kind of override some of the subconscious stuff that's just happening on the fly without you thinking about it. You can step in and say, whoa, don't like that. I'm going to choose to focus on a different story. I'm going to focus on how I'm feeling. I'm going to conjure new ideas and see how they feel in my body and play around with shifting my identity, shifting how I see the world in this moment right now. And as I do that, in this exact moment, I'm shifting what I'm projecting and what I'm perceiving. Now, doing that once doesn't necessarily change your automatic default setting. You may do that consciously and then, forget and fall away and fall back to that old pattern of who you've been and continue to be. So the conscious isn't nothing. The more you practice it, the more you're telling your subconscious mind, no, this is who we are. We're this identity. We have these things. We can hold this space. This is how the world works for us. And it starts getting the impression through you holding that state of being and also projecting from that, perceiving from that, and reaffirming that new state of being by practicing it repetitively. And you can go directly to your subconscious through hypnotherapy and hypnosis, hypnotherapy being therapy done with hypnosis, to uncover the beliefs that you're holding on to that are pulling you back into that state of being that you don't necessarily like, that's creating experiences you don't necessarily like. So you go to the subconscious, you go beneath your conscious awareness, and you shine light on what you don't yet know you are holding within you so that you can process it and let it go. And when you do that, then you're in this really powerful space of having freed up this energy, and new beliefs can settle in that were once being really opposed by these limiting beliefs. But you've set those limiting beliefs free, they're gone. And so now you have this energy, this space to create new supportive beliefs and embed them in your subconscious mind really quickly and effectively, so that you don't have to consciously keep reaffirming them all the time. They've now become subconscious, and you can practice your conscious awareness and fall away from your conscious awareness and land in a default state that's much more aligned to what you want, because you have released the aspects of that state that resist what you want. So of course, this is why I practice hypnotherapy, and this is where clients see the most dramatic results quickly. However, I always say that conscious mind is not nothing. That is your superpower, because you have access to it all day long, every day. You're not going to be in hypnosis every day, addressing your beliefs and working through them and constantly focusing on your healing. It's good to do that, but it's also good to just remind yourself that you are always in control, in the sense that you always have the power to choose where you shine your light of consciousness, where you focus your energy and your attention and your intention. And so as you start practicing, who am I? Who is this person? Sorry, there's a siren going. Who is this person who has the things I want? What does that feel like? And training your body, training your subconscious mind what that feels like, and coming from that state, you then start acting and behaving more naturally as that person, projecting that identity, and simultaneously you start perceiving things around you that validate that you are that person. You start noticing opportunities. You start hearing people say things that maybe they've been saying for many years, but you finally hear it for real, and you're like, oh my gosh, you think that about me? That's so lovely. Or, that's available to me. I didn't even realize, right? Because we will tune out anything that contradicts what we believe. So if you've had a conflicting or contrasting belief to what you want, then it will have been really difficult for you to hear or see or experience and perceive the positive things that were actually coming your way. So that's why we get rid of those beliefs, step into the identity of being the person who has what you want. So you project it, you perceive it, and that becomes the new natural loop. Okay. So if you'd like to work one-on-one with me with hypnotherapy and mindset coaching, you can just book a free consultation and we can chat and see if it's a good fit. Additionally, I have a Manifest Your Dream Life hypnosis audio. It's just a 20-minute recording to relax into the hypnotic state, get in touch with your subconscious mind, and really show it who that person is who has what they want, what it feels like. I can hold this state. I can practice this state. And as you make that state of being the person who has what you want more and more familiar through listening through the audio, I recommend on a daily basis, that becomes your natural state of being, and you start projecting and perceiving and experiencing differently. Okay, wishing you all the very best. Take care.